All right, I have Sharon here from St. Louis, Missouri. Sharon, thanks for joining me.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for asking me.
Absolutely. So Sharon is in our Kingdom program, and Kingdom and Elevate, I should say, and she just recently closed her first deal.
Yes.
Oh,
First
that
one.
feels good.
It
Woo,
did. It did.
good. So we are going to talk a little bit about that, and I just wanted to hear a little bit about Sharon's story and share it here because, as we were just talking about, I was letting her know that the whole point of doing this is to inspire the masses, right? Like our purpose as a company is to end financial suffering. And when we can showcase people who are doing it and making it happen in their own life, it inspires others. So, so that's what we're gonna do. So before we get into the deal, I would love to hear a little background. What got you into real estate in the beginning?
Yeah, honestly, I just wanted a way to get more financial freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wanted to live debt free. I'm almost
Mm.
there. I should say almost there, but I have a plan to get
Yeah,
there.
you're moving in the
Uh,
right direction.
we're
Yep.
moving, we're going up. And I have an entrepreneurial spirit, but didn't know where to place it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in sales for a long time, as we was talking about before. My history in sales has been about 10 years. And I was like,
Yeah.
where can I use these transferable skills? Right. I'm good with people, I'm good with money. I could probably do something in the real estate. And from then I just opened the door to like reading, learning,
Yeah.
connecting, asking questions, networking with other people. And then I fell into, for lack of better words, um, the book Todd wrote. If you
You
can't
can't
sell a real estate,
if you
yep,
can't wholesale after this, I've got nothing for you.
yep. And I really just like, oh, I got Audible. I'll listen to it while I walk my dogs. I'll probably learn something. And I went to a couple of other classes before, and I think I just need things to be clear and cut to the point.
Mm,
And it was just the no BS for me that just
yeah.
made sense.
Yep.
I not only read the book, I studied the book. So like
Yes.
listen to it, then actually worked backwards and joined the program last year. And then I was like, it's going to make sense. I'm going to find something. And did I answer your question? I'm just telling you about all
You
my
did.
business.
This is great. This is awesome. This is exactly what
But
I'm
yeah,
looking for.
yeah. So like, it was just like, how can I make money? What skills can I use? This seems interesting. I probably can do this. This book is making sense. I feel empowered to make changes. There's a
Mm,
whole network of
mm.
people. There is a community of people. And my voice in the kingdom is small. I don't talk a lot, but I read a lot. I'll read the comments. I'll press Control F. I'll use the documents. And that's what rolled over to me
Mm.
even being involved here. Actually, even having access before I was seriously about making moves on doing wholesaling. Um, that's what brought me here and also what helped launch the close. So here we go.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I love that. I love that. It's huge. And I think a lot of people can resonate with that of like, this and this one thing led to another. And then all of a sudden I'm here. Like
Yeah.
it does happen that way. We're also like,
Hmm.
wait a second. But the key is, and I just want to point this out, the key is in what you were just describing, and I want people to make sure that they recognize this, that in everything you just described, it all was action related.
Yeah.
It wasn't just I was just learning. It was I learned and then I went and did something about it. Like
Hmm.
reading
Hmm.
between the lines of what you just said, like that was the theme that I just heard was like I always did something about it.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
awesome. So
100%.
what was the biggest hurdle coming up to this first deal? What was the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome?
Biggest hurdle,
Mm-hmm.
imposter syndrome. Like, can I really do this? Am I really going to do
Mm.
this? Is this legal? Double, triple checking myself. Wait a minute. Are you sure you know what you're doing? Like, down to like finalizing the contracts. That was actually like the last part for me.
Sure.
I was like, oh, shit. Oh, people about to start handing out money. Uh-oh.
Oh, this is very real. This
Yeah,
is very real.
yeah.
What's happening right now?
And honestly, being completely transparent, this
Yes.
deal, almost like how this opportunity, I didn't really, it was like I'm actionably.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
Wait, let me use that.
That's a word. I will
Yeah,
accept
that's it. I
that.
actionably follow through with the things that I learned to get into the kingdom. But
Mhm.
then I also did the same thing when honestly we just had in my family, we had a vacant property. And I was like, oh, I was like, this is what these are.
I know what to do with it now.
I know what to do. If you like to trust me, you can. I work completely transparent.
Yep.
This is how I work. These are other options. This
Yep.
is the difference between wholesaling and not
Yep.
wholesaling. You do what you want. If you want me, I can do it. If you want to do this and you don't want to use me, okay. But
Yeah.
you know, they
But at
ultimately,
least, hey, I'm presenting myself and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
practicing what I'm learning.
Yeah, and my sales type is to be transparent all the way, and I saw that in the same pattern in the kingdom and from the book.
Yep.
And I was like, I only work with transparent people. I only work with trustworthy people. I don't care if it gets sketchy, I'm out. And so
Mhm.
I brought that same energy to the seller, brought that same energy to the buyer, honestly. And it really wasn't until the contract parts where I was like, oh, shoot. And that's where I went all the way. I was like, let me go back. What did I reread? What did they say? What are they using? Let me go actually to the program. Let me go to Facebook. Who are using what? That was the scariest part. But after that,
Yeah.
I was like, I had to like re solidify to myself. I was like, Sharon, you wouldn't have done this if you didn't know what you were doing. You read, this makes sense. You
Right.
understand. This is what worked.
You would
You've
not have
checked
gotten
with
the deal
counsel.
that far if you didn't know what
Yes,
you were doing. Yeah.
exactly. You've checked with counsel. People trust with you. Like you
Yeah.
have crossed these steps. Believe in yourself one more time for this last part. But yeah, I mean, I'll even take a step back when I met with the buyer. So I actually kind of worked backwards. I didn't want to, but it came. And I hadn't had a buyer solidified, but I had a couple friends. One buyer didn't make it through, but the other one, I was just honest with him, like, look, I'm stepping into this role. This is what I'm looking to do. If this works out, we could partner in the beginning, partner furthermore. I'd like to, if you're open to that. This will be my first close, but I have had experience. Like I had to like give myself some validation, right? Like whatever it was. Mine happened to be sales, but if you're an engineer, talk about that, right? I think that I do that in my current role too. Like I have to like buff myself up a little bit. Like I can do some things. I may not be the expert here, but this is what brought me here. How can we work? How can we trust?
Yeah.
So
Right.
I was a little nervous, but I just kind of like I wanted to share with the buyer that I have some skills. Okay. I am smart.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can work.
I'm not just
Yeah.
coming at this totally random. Like
Yeah.
I do know what I'm doing. It's just the
Yeah.
first time going through it.
Dude, if I was a gardener, I'm like, hey, I spend time gardening. This is what I do. I grow all the peppers. I'm going to hype myself up and then we'll talk about what I don't know, right? Let's get some validity here. So that's how I held that conversation. But ultimately, to answer your question, it was just the imposter syndrome at the very end. Like, oh, shoot, did I do this right? But once I just trusted the process, trusted myself and the work and the resources that we had available, at the end, like I was like pacing for a hot second, like are people gonna really give me a check? No, yes they are. Yes, they are. I had to calm myself down. At the end, it worked out.
I love how transparent you are about this because I think everyone on their first deal and sometimes even second, third, fourth, fifth deal, they still are like, wait a second. This is how this works? Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be fine. But that imposter syndrome is a real thing. Like people really do struggle with that.
Yeah.
Because it all boils down to belief in yourself. And even and like you were saying, you're like, okay, I've got to hype myself up a little bit. Like, let me, even if it's not real estate related, like I got to pat myself on the back. Like I got myself to this point. Let me give myself a pat on the back and see it from a different perspective.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're totally right. If you got the deal that far, like you actually do know what you're doing. It just hasn't become real yet.
100%.
And once it becomes real, that's where it changes. But it usually is after the check is in your hand and deposited in the account.
All the way.
And then we've had people that'll be like, I have the check, but it's still not real yet. Then go deposit the freaking check. Oh, okay. Oh, the zeros are in my account. Oh my gosh, it's actually real now. I can go buy stuff. Yes, you can.
100%. I even like driving. I walked the property with the buyer. We connected. We had a great conversation. We built a great relationship, and still are looking to partner in the future now. So it turned out great. But meeting with him, walking through the property. He's like, would you like to walk with me? And I was like, sure.
Mm,
He's like, I can teach
mm,
you some other stuff. He was just super open. And I was like,
fantastic.
why is this happening? I got a great buyer who already believes in me, who trusts me, who wants to work with me.
Yeah,
And then he was
yeah.
like, okay, I'll work up some numbers. I'll call you later. I'm driving away from my grandmother's house. Like, they're gonna let me.
Wait a second.
I'm like, oh
Wait,
my God, my family, they're gonna let me sell this. Oh God. But yeah,
this is
Zach,
working? What do you mean
yeah,
this is working?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, the imposter syndrome, that was like
Yeah.
but at one again, believe in yourself, hype
Yes.
yourself up, trust what you've learned, trust yourself.
Right.
That is what.
Well, and then you already mentioned this earlier, but you went back and reviewed. You're like,
Mhm,
okay, I'm at a point, I'm at a step where I'm freaking out a little bit,
mhm.
and I want to make sure I've got the I's dotted and the T's crossed, and we're good to go. So you just went back and reviewed, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'm good. I'm good.
I re-listened to the book. I was like,
Sure.
what? Because it was just a way
Exactly.
for like it, on a busy day, right? It was, and I
Mhm.
walk my dogs every day, so it's just a
Sure.
way to like get it back in. Like, okay, what chapter was that in? Oh, don't panic! I'm panicking.
He has
And
it
I
as the
go back
don't
to the
panic. It's
courses,
okay.
go back to the courses, and I was like, what else did everybody else do? Control F. Is anybody working? But we're fine. It was
That's awesome.
great.
So how much did you make on this one?
This was a very respectful one because it was my
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
So I only did 5,000.
That is
It was
awesome.
fun.
Only
It was
5,000.
only
Only 5,000.
5K.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only 5K. Only
Yeah.
I mean, straight up though, that is awesome.
Yeah. I
Totally.
also
You could have
negotiated
said
a little bit.
$500 and I would have been thrilled.
Yeah.
5K is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought it was great. I
You
mean,
did great.
I did, and I mean, it was my family. Had it
Yeah.
been, different circumstances, I would have not maybe, I would have definitely took a different.
I would have totally done more.
Definitely took a different cut, but it was a success. Everybody at the end was happy. I kept checking in with the seller, kept checking in with the buyer. Like,
Mhm, mhm.
even to the seller, which was my grandma, I was like, hey, we can stop at any time. You haven't sold anything. Let me know when you're comfortable
Right.
before I send this paperwork in last time. Like, this is
Yeah,
this
yeah,
is your time. You need to tell
yeah,
me now before
yeah.
we both sign. You do not have to
Mhm,
sign. And like giving that reassurance on it too. Like, but I was like, you told me you want this. You told me you didn't want
yeah.
this. You told me this. This guy has all of these things. She's like reading the contract and asking me, like, what did he put in it? And I was like, I wrote the contract. And she's like, okay. Okay. So yeah, it was a great one.
Hey, you found a problem. It just happened to be that it was family, which
Yeah.
actually, to be very honest with you, I think people overlook that because
Yeah.
it's family. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, I can't talk to them because they're family. It's like,
Yeah.
actually, those are the
Yeah.
people you should start with. Because
Hmm.
then, can you imagine if you'd have done your first deal and then like another year down the road, and then grandma comes soon and is like, why didn't you help me with my property?
Yeah. At the end, my dad was like, hey, have you heard of these wee ugly houses people? I'm gonna call them. I was like, stop.
Stop. Time
Stop
out.
it. Let me tell you
See?
what's really happening.
See?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is I love that.
Yeah.
Because so many people have relatives that are like, I don't know
They
what to
don't
do with this
connect the
property.
dots.
And then people are like, but they're family. I don't know if I should mix it. It's like, they're your family. Go help them. I mean, unless there's like a weird
Yeah.
relationship
Yes.
going
Right. I went down
on.
to like, I will make a profit.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
Well,
And
all
like
the
you said,
things.
because you were transparent and
Hmm.
because you did your work and your due diligence on
Hmm.
what you needed to know, and you were
Hmm.
transparent with the buyer, everyone
Hmm.
walked away happy because you solved the
Everybody.
problem for the seller who happened to be family. You solved
Hmm.
the problem for the buyer and
Hmm.
you made money. You solved the problem for
Yeah.
yourself.
Boom.
Boom. I love
100%.
that. That's how it should be. That's
Yeah.
what now just go do that again.
Yeah. Done.
Done.
Who
Right.
else?
So what's next for you on your real estate journey? What do you foresee for yourself moving forward?
Yeah, I foresee this. I mean, when by the time my family said, yes, we really want to sell, and finding a buyer, which actually was surprisingly quick. I don't know
Mhm.
how that worked out, but it did. It was probably a 2 weeks
Yeah,
process. And
that's
I was
awesome.
like, if I could do this under the stress of myself, right? Like
Mhm.
rechecking my work, re-looking through stuff, actually
Yep.
making sure the contract is finalized, talking with a legal consultant to make sure these things were right, right? that only took 2 weeks. Now that I have this and I can just copy paste,
Yeah.
and I have a buyer that's on my side who
Mhm.
afterwards told me where he likes to buy, what zip code,
Mhm.
all the
Mhm.
specs. And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So what's next is looking to build up an inventory to bring to the seller, I mean to the buyer.
Mhm.
Maybe ultimately do even more investing in real estate. But first step is like, let's get debt free. That way I can have a great life and be cute like this every day. That's it.
That's it right there, right there. I like it.
I just made that up.
Don't worry, everybody.
Oh, I started doing it today.
We already have an inside joke. It's okay.
Yep.
I think that's awesome. I really do. I think that, and that, like I said, with the 5K, I mean, that's enough money to start chunking away at whatever debt you have, right?
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm.
for most people, that's a substantial amount that goes towards that.
Yeah, true,
So if
very
you can
true.
keep replicating that,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
all of a sudden now, all of a sudden it's like, wow, this debt is all of a sudden coming off very quickly.
mm-hmm,
And that gets
mm-hmm.
very exciting. And
Yep.
then it becomes kind of a game where you're just playing with yourself, like, oh, how can I make this go even faster?
Oh yeah, I actually I was reading a book called "We Can All Be Millionaires" by Rachel. I cannot remember her last name,
I
but
know
I
what book you're talking about.
remember Rachel. Dang it, I can't remember her last name. Anyway, but she talks about. I'll just make it short. She talks
Yeah.
about making a crazy goal for a short amount of time just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And what's the worst is going to happen? You either
Yeah.
hit it, you get close to it, or you don't have it, which
Right.
doesn't kill
Right.
anything.
Right.
So I actually charge myself with making a goal, and let's see if I could at least get 10K by the end of this year. What's the worst going to happen? I get it. I don't get it. I get less than it. I get nothing. If I try, I get something. If I don't
Exactly.
try, I get nothing.
Well, it's
So
like the analogy of like if you shoot for the moon and you only land among the stars, like
yeah.
wrong with that, you know?
So we'll
That's
see.
huge.
That's where we're at.
So did you make that goal after this deal was done, or did that
Yes.
5K
After.
contribute towards that?
I
Okay.
wish. I mean, I'm
You've
just
got
smart.
10K more to hit before the end of the year.
Yeah, we're going up.
Let's do it. Okay, you got one more deal to go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, honestly.
No, seriously. Yeah. I was like, I can do that. So
Yeah.
I actually took, the 5K and just reinvested in myself. Not, I'm leaving some there, but I was like, okay, I have a different, I'm going to start local, and I have a different area code. So I was like, let's get a Google Voice number. Let's get an official Gmail, right? I didn't need those things before, and I don't have to have them, but if I want to like expand my market, I just wanted to reinvest in myself. So
Sure.
that's what's happening right now. Reinvesting to see if I get more.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my last question for you is, what would you say to inspire someone who's just starting out in wholesaling?
I would say just do it. I mean, what's the worst is going to happen,
Just do
right?
it.
Just do
Just
it.
do it.
That's it.
Be
I
like
mean,
Nike. Just do it.
just do it. And I mean, just take the course. Just read the book. Just be intentional. Just ask someone if they have property. Just ask the buyer, right? What is the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no. Don't be afraid of no. I'm not afraid of no. I've been like that for a long time, but it's made me a very dangerous woman. Okay. Because who's going to tell me no? All right. Bye. So yeah, I hope that for them.
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
Sharon, I really appreciate you taking the time. This has been awesome. I've sure enjoyed myself, and I cannot wait to do another one of these with an update soon down the road, maybe 2023, and we can see, okay, where's she at now?
We're going up.
We're going up. I like it.
Yeah. Yes.
I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for inspiring people and for sharing your story.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. I'm happy.
Of course. Of course. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.